Welcome to the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. And it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Now remember, please do follow on your favourite podcast app, or if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe and the little bell.
It's the finale, the last one, the end of the line. The Motorhome and Campervan Show season finale. When is it? What is it?
It's the 19th to the 21st of September at the Lincolnshire Showground. It is the season finale. It's the highlight of the year. It's a massive event. One of my favourites for sure. Hundreds of dealers there, or hundreds of motorhomes there from lots and lots of dealers for sale, new and used. And of course, hundreds of traders as well, selling accessories, tech and gadgets and all sorts of stuff. And live music every night. So you can arrive on the Thursday and leave on the Monday. It's just £85 for a whole weekend with live music every night. There is a small charge for the Saturday night's entertainment, and of course you can go for the day. So if you just want to be a day visitor, it's $7.99 including the booking fee, and you get a discount on the day pass. Just go to mhmp.info/Warners to find out more.
It's the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Brought to you with thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe. We have got some pretty shocking news to tell you today. Matt, in February last year, you were in hospital for an angiogram. They take a look at your heart and see what's going on there. So can you give us a brief recap about that?
Yeah. So I'd had a dry cough for 3 months and an ache in my shoulder, some chest pain, and so off I went for this angioplasty where they do an angiogram and have a good look about, and I had to have 2 stents fitted. So I had 4 arteries cleared that were blocked up and 2 inflatable balloons fitted that dissolved. They were a trial and they dissolved, leaving no metalwork inside my heart, and it's a new treatment. And the surgeon said to me, so I reckon you've got 3 days before a fatal heart attack. I'll fix this for you now, which was a bit of a shock at the time, wasn't it? So I had these stents and carried on, had a real new lease of life at the time, I have to say. And you can check out the episode from a cough to heart surgery, we called it. It's recorded last year, February time. And then we revisited this a year later, so February this year, on how I was doing a year on. And it's still not been right. I was discharged from cardiac rehab. I got to my 10th session and had a bit of what they called a cardiac event, where I had a really tightening of the chest, felt quite uncomfortable, and it happened halfway through me doing this kind of round of exercises. So they sat me down and said, have I ever taken a GTN spray? And I'll be quite honest, I hadn't.
What's that?
So it's I can't remember what it stands for, Glyso. Basically, you spray it under your tongue and it opens all your arteries up in your whole body. So your blood pressure tanks, you get a headache, and that's what I was scared of. And by opening up all your arteries means your heart can operate properly. So you have to take it sitting down. And I took it and it was like that. It was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. And the nursing staff said, wow. And by this point, I was being discharged from cardiology, having been told you don't have angina or unstable angina. And I was like, oh, still something not right. My reaction to the GTN spray was textbook. And I said, well, what does that mean? And the nurse said, you've got angina. So I was referred back into cardiology, more ECGs, more tests, and the consultant said, well, there is part of your what's called a LAD artery is a bit blocked at the top. This is a left arterial descending artery. It's the main artery in your heart that goes over the front of your heart. And so that's a bit blocked at the top. So what we do is let's do an MRI or let's do an ultrasound. I said, look, can't we just do another angiogram? Just go and have a proper look. So she said, okay. So she said, what we'll also do is what's called a wire pressure test, where they put a wire into the artery that's affected and then give your heart a drug that makes it feel like it's turned to brick and is trying to punch its way out of your rib cage, and you really can't breathe. It's not very nice. So I go in for this angioplasty. I was in last Friday and was given this drug. He said, count to 20, it will start, and at 90 it will stop. Just keep counting. Anyway, at 10 he said stop, and I literally was couldn't breathe. It was horrible. And I heard one of the staff said, "Yep, positive result." And I thought, "Oh, that's good." Turns out that's not good. And so I go back to my ward, and my surgeon, who I've got to know quite well, a consultant, comes around, and she says, 16 months ago, this lad artery was 25% blocked. It's now 75% blocked.
3/4.
Yeah. And we need to do something about it. So I said, "Well, what's the plan?" And she said, "I suggest surgery." So I was hoping that there was some kind of keyhole, and I've got to have a triple heart bypass, which on Friday was a massive shock. And it still is now as I go back to Friday to remember how I felt. And it was, that's pretty serious surgery, which I then had a really good conversation with a registrar who explained what it would be involved. And then the surgeon rang me that would do it and was on the phone for half an hour, which was very good of him, and really put my mind at rest. But it's still scary. So they, obviously, huge incision in your chest, break your breastbone open up, and they actually pull a vein out of your arm or your leg, an artery, and do a motorway junction bypass.
Yeah, they bypass the blocked or diseased part.
So I said, "Is this a single bypass?" They said, "No, it'd be a triple heart bypass." So they go from junction 20 to 22, as it were, is how he explained it to me. And of course, the recovery time is significant. So I spend a few days in intensive care, a week in hospital, and then 12 weeks recovering. I'm not allowed to drive for a month for a very practical reason, which is if I had an accident in the car and the steering wheel hit my chest, it would break my chest open, which because they wire it together until it fuses and the wires stay there. So it's wow, I didn't consider that. I'm not sure I want to even be a passenger in a car. So it's going to be a journey for sure. But, and this is the bit I suppose I'm getting my head to, is the other side of it. I'll have a new lease of life. So I've realised that my operating norm is much lower than perhaps it used to be. I get out of breath. I discovered my threshold on the weekend. Our first world problem, our dishwasher failed. So I pulled the old one out, disconnected it, fresh feed, waste drain, electrics, put the new one in. It leaked, head down, looking under the worktop, replumbed it, and then collapsed. And my blood pressure was really low, 103/68, which is very low for me. And spent an hour led on the sofa whilst I recovered. My blood pressure came back up. I was like, blimey, if I can't even replace a dishwasher. So, yeah, I'm being mollycoddled by family, friends, and absolutely the team at work, not being allowed to do very much. And I guess I've had to be honest with myself that I'm seriously ill, and I've not been honest about that, both privately and definitely not publicly. So this is me kind of fessing up, really, and saying, okay, I need to get this fixed. So hopefully this autumn it will get addressed and we can move on. And you'll tell me off, Keith. I said to the surgeon, and I've said, everyone I've said this to has told me off. I said, well, I've got a lot on this autumn. Several shows, the Lincoln one we've just been talking about, the big one in Birmingham, of course, lots of other speaking engagements planned. And of course, everyone says, yeah, but Matt, this is your health. And the surgeon, do you know what he said? He said, well, tell me what you've got on when, and let's plan this around that. Because if I throw a date in your diary and it causes a load of clashes, you're going to get very stressed about stuff. And that is not going to help your repairing and recovery. So let's have an objective call about it, a conversation about it, which we did. So unless things change dramatically, end of October, I'm due to have this surgery, and we'll go into Christmas hopefully fully repaired.
A new man.
A new man with a new lease of life.
And we must say, before you make any judgments, that it's not because Matt has led a particularly unhealthy life. You do have a genetic condition within your family, don't you, which causes heart disease, which is part of the reason why you're so aware of it in the first place.
I do, and both my granddads had angina. One had a stroke. But I have a high cholesterol called lipoprotein A, which is not commonly tested for. There's no treatment for it. So my other cholesterols, I'm on lots of meds, as we've joked many times if I jump up and down a rattle. Those cholesterols are described by my lipid consultant as beautifully low. So 0.7 is, if you understand cholesterol scores, it's good, it's healthy, but it's medically affected, of course. So I brought my cholesterol score right down, but lipoprotein A isn't really affected by that, and you can't treat it with any medication, and you can't affect it with diet. A good healthy lifestyle is imperative, and going forward it's certainly something I will be focused on. But this LPA is the root cause, and I was born with it. So my kids have all been had to be tested, and as the boys turn 18, they will be tested too, and it's a red flag. So it's not necessarily a case of if you've got high LPA, this is the course of treatment you're going to end up with, but it's a great warning sign that there might be some blocked arteries, because that's what it causes, which I've suffered with. And mine, it turns out this particular LAD artery is blocking up pretty quick now. So time is of the essence. I'm not critically ill, but I'm seriously ill, needing urgent medical treatment, which in NHS terms is within the next few months. So yeah, that's where we are.
So pretty shocking stuff. So we've seen how you feel about it, and how it's affecting you. But we must say, even though it is major surgery, the outcomes for this sort of surgery are incredibly successful. It's got a fantastic track record. And as we said before, a bypass is they take a piece of vein or artery out of an arm or a leg, and they literally bypass around the disease or the blockage. So our thoughts are all with you, Matt, and we're wishing you the very, very best. It must be incredibly stressful for you, but we're looking forward to having you back.
Yes.
A new man.
Mrs. Motorhome Matt can't wait. We'll be back. We'll be back walking around like we used to, hiking, doing all sorts of stuff, because she gets really frustrated with me at the moment because I just run out of puff. It's ridiculous. I get tired having a shower. I've always joked I get tired running a bath. I can't actually run, and I can't run. So, this has just become my norm. And I realise now that I've kind of slipped into it over time.
You're adapting.
Yeah, and I've just accepted this is how I am, and I've become that unfit bloke that's put on weight, and I need to change that. And so now I know why, and that's great. Yep. And so I'm very much optimistic, totally optimistic for the future. I am an eternal optimist. I'm just grateful for a glass, never mind how much water's in it. But as always, mine's
joke. Always full of wee. It's half full of wee.
Well, mine's full of something else at the moment, I have to say, along those lines. But we can fix it, and the team at the Bristol Heart Institute in cardiology are amazing. They really are phenomenal. So I feel like I'm in really good hands. I've had loads of people say to me, Matt, they do this surgery pretty much every day. The surgeon said the same. He said, we do this regularly every week, and the success rate is really high. So yes, it's really serious, and it's very invasive, and your recovery is going to be long. And so all of that is frightening, but out of the other side, so hopefully in the new year, it will feel very different.
So the question is what are we going to do about the podcast then?
I'd love to carry on with it. I know we've discussed how we do that, and we're going to find a way through that. We might end up doing some Zoom ones. That'd be fun. We've never done that.
No.
I probably won't be up for doing one from intensive care. So our plan, if you're agreeable, I am, we're going to try and carry on putting one of these out every week, as we have done for nearly 4 years, which is no mean feat.
Doesn't really matter what I think. Motorhome Maddie is the one that makes the
Well, Maddie's on board. She's got a thumbs up behind the camera. So we're going to try and pre-produce some content. You both came up with a great idea of doing some content which is audience Q&A, which we can potentially batch record before we get there. And I think that would be great.
Yeah, and it's great because, if it wasn't for you watching and listening to the podcast and your questions, there wouldn't be a podcast. So,
true.
Yeah, this isn't a second best. This is having podcasts which are mainly with you, your questions. I'm looking forward to that, I must admit. I'm always banging the drum for more of that.
Me too. And Actually, I wonder whether it might become a new trend for the podcast next year, where we have a regular episode which is just your questions, because they are the gold. They really are. They are fantastic, and we've got so many to catch up on, and I do try and answer as many as I can, but they don't all make the podcast. So perhaps that's what we do. So the plan is to work through this, so we try and get a few weeks or maybe months in the bag, and nonetheless we'll be keeping you updated on my progress. And do you know what? I think this is an opportunity for those watching. If you've got that cough or an ache, I've said it before, but I will say it again, go and get it checked out. That annoying voice from your other half is important. It was Jude, Mrs. Motorhome Matt, that did my e-consult, that got me the GP's appointment, that got me into A&E and got this angiogram. And even then, once being discharged from cardiology, I still knew something wasn't right. So here we are now, bypassing the problem with major surgery to fix it. So it's taken 2 years to get to this point, I suppose. But don't ignore it. It's your body giving you a warning sign, as mine did doing the dishwasher. So you can't be doing this, Matt. You've got to slow down. So take note and take action. Please don't ignore it. I was told I was 3 days from a fatal heart attack. I'm not quite in that point again, but I'm being told I'm months from a heart being unable to pump, which results in, pretty serious heart attack. So don't get yourself into that position. Do take note, take action. And if you're being treated and you still think, and you're being discharged, you think, I'm still not right, keep fighting, keep saying no.
Make a pest of yourself.
Wrong. Make a pest. And a friend of mine was a retired A&E consultant. I won't quote what he said you have to be, but basically be a pain in the neck. He was far more blunt than that. But he is, senior NHS. He said, you have to get your voice heard. So campaign on your behalf. Please make sure you do.
And it goes for women as well as men. Women
Absolutely.
suffer from heart disease just as much, if not sometimes at certain ages more than men. And a big shout out as well to the NHS. It's what I always say, it's what makes Britain great, the National Health Service. Thanks to everybody who works there and works on our behalf. We've talked about it. We've talked about what we're going to be doing in the future and making sure Matt is sensible. But there are lifestyle changes that you can make right now, and nobody's lecturing you, but you have been talking to some people, haven't you, who can help.
Absolutely. And we're guilty as a pastime of people not always making the right lifestyle choices when it comes to diet, exercise. And that's not unique to the motorhome community. That is everyone. And particularly at a certain age, it's too easy to become complacent and frankly maybe lazy. I'm guilty of this, and I'm trying various ways to try and lose weight, but I have to be careful at this point in time because of other conditions and so on I've got. But I've been talking to a wonderful couple who are on Instagram as bFrank, the letter B, Frank, and they are all about lifestyle changes which are easy for all of us to make. And I'm delighted that Warner's shows have given them a stage at the upcoming shows to present to us how making some really simple changes can make massive benefits to our physical health and our mental health. And that's been a huge journey for me as well, is the anxiety side of this and the mental health side of this. And the biggest treatment for me has been talking about it. And this podcast has enabled me to do that, for which I am very grateful. So I asked bFrank if they would be prepared to work with me, and I become almost their guinea pig, and said, well, what changes should I start making as I go into rehabilitation from this surgery that are lifestyle changes that will have a meaningful and lasting effect? Guys, welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for agreeing to have this conversation with me today and working with me as I go on this little life journey. It makes it sound quite menial, but it's a big deal for me.
Yep.
But where do I start? What changes should I start making?
So, I mean, there are a lot of things that you can do, which is amazing because you have much more control and you have much more kind of power over how you recover than maybe you are led to believe. So there's lots of physical, mental and sort of dietary lifestyle things. So I'll leave Tom to talk about exercise. But in terms of rebuilding your body after surgery and building yourself back up, focusing on diet and specific nutrients that help rebuild the body and focusing on your health on a cellular level is really what's going to kind of speed up your recovery. So if you think about what you need to repair the body, it's you need a lot of protein and you need a lot of fat, because those are the two building blocks of the body. So everything in your body is pretty much made up of proteins and fats, and then obviously all the micronutrients and macronutrients and stuff. But protein and fat are the two macros that you want to be focusing on. So lots of animal products.
So don't become vegetarian.
Don't become vegetarian. No, definitely don't become vegetarian. But you can focus on, because of your condition, more leaner meats. So you could have, 5% beef mince, chicken, turkey, things like that. But I wouldn't go for low-fat dairy, because low-fat dairy often has a lot of additives in it that you don't really want to be eating. Definitely focusing on kind of high-quality, nutrient-dense food, even organ meats if you want. But you don't want to overdo it on organ meats. You don't need to have a lot of those. But I think is it 150 grams a week? Yeah. A week of something like liver, so you can just split it up.
I'm not a fan of liver.
No, I'm not a fan of liver either. I do not like it.
Although we do have a technique, so you can buy liver, grind it up, and then freeze it in little blocks, and then put the blocks in a meal of your choice, and it will just melt in, and it would be like an OXO cube almost going in. You will never taste it, and you'll still get the glorious, great effects from it.
Yeah, that's what we do, because we also don't like the taste of it. It's actually
it's just
horrible.
really dry.
It's
almost gagging.
Yeah, it's not good. I know, and you see people eating it raw with like raw honey on it, and I'm sorry, I'm out. I'm absolutely not.
So one of the fears I've got is obviously my breastbone is about to be cut open.
Yeah.
Which is it's hard to get your head around.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's going to be wired back together.
Yeah.
And I really want it to fuse back together as quickly as possible, so I can get as active as possible afterwards. So protein and good fats.
Protein and good fats, things, and even in terms of supplementation, I mean, not giving you exact advice yet, but things like collagen, very important for rebuilding muscle. Lots of bone broth, really essential nutrients in there to help rebuild the body. And that's great for your gut health as well, bone broth is. And then things like, because it's bones, so calcium, but vitamin D and vitamin K2, they're like, you need them for calcium.
And is there core choices of foods that will give me those vitamins, or should I take supplements?
Vitamin D supplements you need, because we get it from the sun. You only get small amounts from food. Yeah. So because of the northern hemisphere, we don't have much daylight in this, in the winter, unfortunately. That's why the supplementation is recommended for that, and that's a blanket recommendation for everyone. But you can play around. There's lots of information online with dosages.
So what about things like dairy and kefir?
Yeah.
Are they good as well?
Yeah, absolutely. But there's only small amounts of vitamin D in there, so you'll never get what you really need from food alone. You have to supplement, because the sun is the main source. Yeah. The sun hits a type of cholesterol in our skin, and that's what turns eventually to vitamin D. And within foods, you do get it: cod liver oil, pasture-raised eggs, pastured meat, small amounts. But not enough.
But in terms of kefir and dairy products, they're great sources of healthy fat, aren't they?
And calcium, and really good. Yeah.
And it was the calcium that made me think, surely kefir is good for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Tom, you're the physical guy.
I'm the physical man.
I fear you.
We're going to be having a lot of fun.
I know. Well, you've so kindly agreed to work with me through this journey. I'm at the other side of it particularly, and into next year, where I want to try and lose some weight. I want to get healthier. I need to. And I realise that the last 18 months, my health has slowly been declining, and I've kind of it's become my norm, and I've just accepted it, and I'm not doing anything like things I used to do 2 years ago. So tell me then, Tom, I'm going to take a deep breath. What should I be doing? You're going to have me running marathons and sweating and being Mr. Motivator? Because I'll be honest, I'm not going to turn up.
You will turn up. I'll be at your door, Matt. That's
you know where I live.
Exactly. I think the beauty of exercise is it's about how much you want to put into it at first. And I think that what I would like to do is I'd like to set you out on a routine where we've got 3 days a week where we're sort of delegating specific exercises to those days. We've got to start slow and steady, because we've got to get you to a point where you can actually enjoy the exercise, rather than, as you said before, where you're feeling out of breath and you're finding it difficult. So it's about entering exercise that maybe you don't perceive as exercise straight away, but it's just going for those general walks. I loved what you said before the recording when you were talking about walking around barefoot in your garden. That's just one of those amazing things that we don't class as exercise necessarily, walking, but it's such a beautiful exercise that we can do. And it's a great way of building up your cardiovascular system. And we can start with nice slow-paced walking, and then I can ask you to speed it up a little bit, and we can get a bit more range on it. That's something that we can do.
How do you turn exercise into the thing you say I enjoy? How does that happen?
Well,
is it like a switch?
Well, it's interesting. So a lot of people motivate themselves through music or podcasts or listening to something or even working whilst doing exercise. If there's a sport or if there's an interest of yours that we can find, that's something I think we could nail down and we could really find. Or if you really enjoy a podcast, we could find that as well, or some music. Something I like doing is making playlists for my clients. So I could make you a playlist, or I could make you something along the lines of an interest. Or you can just have me in your ears talking to you the whole time, because that's something else I do. And I can talk to you for the hour and bore you whilst you're going, God, I've got to do this exercise now, because otherwise you won't leave me alone. So I am always going to be there. And as I said, with the specific dedicated workouts, I would like to be there with you. And no matter where I'm in the country, I can work with you operationally through digital technology that's around nowadays. I can be there with you. And I'd like to do that particularly at the beginning stages, because it is about finding that joy. And also, if you can find a way of doing that with someone as well, that often helps, because they will help carry you through those moments where you're thinking, God, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get up this morning. And Tom's not available. Oh, I might miss today. Well, you won't, because you'll have that other person. And
I have a feeling that you and Mrs. Motorhome Matt are going to gang up on me. Yes. Your new best friend.
That's it. Exactly.
Exercise. So, I've got no chance, I'll be honest. This is going to happen. So you were talking about the barefoot walking. So you inspired me to do this. At Campervan Campout, you gave an amazing talk where we met for the first time. And I think it was your first talk on stage at any show.
It was, yeah.
It was brilliant. And you had us all stretching and swinging and doing these really basic exercises, which were great fun.
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You said the word there. You see, you fell into the trap. You straight away said it was great fun. Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
Yeah.
He's winning already.
One moment you said you weren't having fun. Now you are having fun.
But you made great advice and said, just go out and walk barefoot in your garden.
Yeah.
Now, we're very, very lucky where we live. And it's like waking up on holiday. And I'm very grateful for that. And we know how lucky we are. We have a fantastic view. And we have a big garden at the front of the house, which we can, and the back, where we can walk around. But there are some big mental health benefits to doing that.
Huge.
Absolutely.
You said,
huge.
The stretching whilst the kettle's boiling for your morning brew.
Yeah.
And just talk me through that. What are those benefits?
Well, getting outside. So we talked about vitamin D a moment ago.
Yeah.
Getting outside and having natural daylight. We believe that we need the sun beaming down on us in this beautiful scenario. But actually just getting outside, having natural daylight on you is just an incredible way of doing it. So every morning, Amy is outside drinking her tea in the morning. She's doing jumping up and down on the grass barefoot without fail. And it's something that I go out and do at a slightly different time to Amy, because she's up at 5:15 in the morning. But going outside and getting that daylight is so important. Connecting with the earth is so important. And it's one of the things that we sort of don't do anymore, because the first thing that we do in the morning is we normally put on some plastic socks, and then we put some shoes on with soles, and we never connect with the earth.
And screens.
And screens
first thing in the morning.
Blue light straight away.
So this is all about your circadian rhythm as well. So it's not just, obviously the mental health benefits of going outside are very well established, but also what you're doing is when you get daylight first thing in the morning, you're anchoring your internal body clock, which is your circadian rhythm, which regulates every single cellular process in your body. Everything, mood, digestion,
and
energy.
is circadian rhythm going to be important for me?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So this is what we'll talk about. So things like when you wake up in the morning, open your curtains and, have your cup of tea, have your cup of coffee outside if you can. I know the weather is not going to be good in the winter when you're recovering, but still, like any daylight, even if it's cloudy, it is beneficial for you because it's always greater outside than inside. The lux of the daylight is always better. You can actually get special daylight bulbs, which are a lot brighter. So maybe that's something, that we could look into.
And you wake up
and
to
a morning alarm as well.
Yeah,
the Lumi
sunrise.
Alarm.
We've got a sunrise alarm, which helps us get up because ideally we would be living to the natural daylight. So we would be sleeping longer in the winter than we would be in the summer months. But that doesn't work out because we all work. So there are great bits of technology now that can kind of mimic nature. They're obviously not the best thing, but they're better than not having it at all.
And one of the habits I have is I get up in the dark.
Yeah.
And then I go to the bathroom and I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
Looking at my phone. I'm
Absolutely.
in the dark.
Yeah.
So my first experience of light every day is blue.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No. So something that you can do. So like Tom said, our sunrise alarm is great, but you can, if you need to go on your phone first thing in the morning, you could either wear your red light glasses, so they'll shield you from the blue, or you can have you can put filters on your phone. So they can come on at times as well. So every night my phone switches to like a yellow screen at 7 and that doesn't turn off until 7 in the morning.
Right.
Automatically you can set that up. So so just things like that. There are things like that, that you can, obviously it's not ideal, but it's like you're trying to mimic nature in a way, because this is another reason why I think people are so sick nowadays, is because we're living a life that's so distant from the life that we're supposed to be living. And the circadian rhythm, the circadian health thing, I mean, it's so important, and nobody really knows about it.
No, well, we don't talk about it.
No.
And the culture in this country is very, very far removed from knowledge base where you guys have got all this expertise. So I am genuinely very grateful to you both.
Well, this is our key thing, is to try and help people remember that health is actually fairly simple.
Yeah.
Doing the basics is what's going to make you healthy. And that's what we want to bring into your life, is trying to make it as basic and as easy as possible around your busy life, so it doesn't affect what you actually need to do in the day, and it doesn't become a problem, because as soon as it becomes a chore to be healthy, we don't do it. We go, no, I'm too busy, I can't do it. What we try and focus on with our clients is to bring into a standard life of what you are doing. We're trying to make it so, I'll just do that while I'm doing something else anyway. And that's the beauty of it. The only thing that will be slightly different is when we start putting exercise classes, as it were, or routines in that we'll be doing together. But you will probably like, now I've got to find half an hour with Tom. How's that going to happen? But I wanted to touch on something that you said before about mental health as well, because the beauty of this all is that with your condition and what you've been going through, you've been very honest and you've talked about how that's affected you. I would say that in the space of the next couple of months of working with you, you will see a massive change in your mental health in terms of excitement and enjoyment in what you'll be doing, because you'll be realizing that actually everything that you're doing is working towards a healthier physical self, but that always gives you a healthier mental self. And I think that will totally change. And everyone knows you as the smiley, happy Matt, the one that's always on form, smiles in the morning, smiles in the evening. No matter what gets thrown at you, you're always there and you're always happy. And you're supporting so many other people. What we would love to do is to be able to give you a little bit of that support within yourself and the emotions that you can do each day. And I think that's going to be something that's very powerful.
Tom, Amy, thank you both so much. I am actually excited
Yay.
to work with you both.
I can't wait, honestly.
We're excited.
You, Tom.
This is going to be fun, yeah.
So, guys, where can people discover more about bFrank if they want to find out a little more about what you're up to?
So we're quite active on socials. So specifically Instagram, you can find us at bFrank Health. And again, it's just B, the letter B, and then Frank Health. We also have a website, but you can get to that from Instagram, clicking in the bio. We've got all of our links there and stuff. So,
but something
you can
very
hire us,
exciting is we are launching a e-magazine. 1st of October is our first volume, and you can find all of the information on our website. But if not, then please do contact us on Instagram. We're going to be doing loads of promotional work, and it's brilliant because it's going to be your monthly issue to how to find healthy recipes, workout guides. We've got blogs in there from various different people. We've got exclusive discount codes on all of the products that we class as Frank approved. We've got, what other things have I missed? We've got so many good things.
We've got seasonal calendar, so seasonal vegetables, so what you should be focusing on. We're going to have a little bit about from farms, so small farms that are farming, helping the environment and kind of educating on real food and stuff, and where our food comes from, because that's another thing that we're so disconnected from is food. So education about real food, how it's grown, and then there's going to be ultra processed food swaps. So I know everybody.
I love these on your Instagram.
Oh, yeah,
these are brilliant.
This is what Amy's getting known for, and it's fantastic.
Because it's like you don't
really
have to go without, but there's always a better option.
Of course,
So,
but it's education. That's
exactly.
Yeah. So this is where you're going to help me, and I hope help you as well as you join me on this journey with this wonderful couple. And it's been great to have you on.
Thank you so much.
Again,
honestly.
Thanks for agreeing to help me. And we'll get through this together, I think.
Well, we'll have to do updates for everyone, so everyone can see all the updates and the changes that will be made.
I would love that.
Superb.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Matt, is that NordVPN deal still running?
Yeah, it is. And if you grab their 2-year plan right now, you'll get 4 extra months for free. And of course, there's the 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free. But the value isn't just in the saving, it's what you get. I use it every time I'm in the van now, whether it's a campsite Wi-Fi here in the UK or tethering abroad. It keeps my data private, blocks dodgy sites and pop-ups, and it means I can stream TV as if I'm sat at home. Honestly, it's one of those things you don't think about until it's too late. So better to get it sorted now.
The link is in the episode description. Nice and simple. It's the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
It's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe. It's our Q&A, the questions and answers, where you ask the questions and Matt, he's the expert, he answers them. Howard is in Braintree.
Oh, hi, Matt. It's Howard from Braintree. We recently went to the Isle of Wight in our motorhome. And knowing that we've been in an older motorhome before, we went with our auto trail. And when we got back, of course, we received a fine for going into the smoke zone, which is in Gun Wharf, which is the only way in and out of the ferry. And lo and behold, we got one coming out again. So it's cost us a grand total of £210. Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous. So basically, we can't use the ferry anymore. Thank you, mate.
Do apologise about the audio quality on that one, but a very good question. He's been fined for going in an ultra low emission zone, but he says there's no way around it.
Yep.
He can't use it anymore, or he's got to pay the fine. Is that the case?
So the bit I didn't get my head around, and I need to look into this, and maybe somebody knows and you can advise, but is it the case you were fined because you didn't pay the daily fee, or was that the fee? Was that the charge? 105 quid each way?
Can't be. Must be fine.
In Bristol, we have a ULEZ zone, or clean air zone, and there are bits of it where you can't get to the motorway without going through 300 yards of it. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay it, then I think it's 100 quid fine. But it's a £9 charge to go through it. So I think double check, is there a daily fee to use it and go that route? Or is it the case that if you don't pay, there's a large fee? It sounds to me like that was the fine, not the daily charge.
Yeah, and a lot of these low emission zones have websites you can go, and I used the one for London not so long ago because a lot of modern cars don't have to pay the fee.
Yeah.
So you put your registration number in, and it tells you immediately there online whether you need to buy a pass to go in for that 24 hours.
But it's not just modern cars. It's about the emissions. So my 1934 Austin 7 is exempt. We love driving through Bristol in this little... People like this broom. It's 1934, stinks of petrol, billowing smoke out the rear, and we don't have to pay the low emission zone. I love it. It's great. It's like cheating the system, winning at life.
So, Howard, use those websites, have a look. I'm sure if it's as you've described, it would prevent lots and lots of people from being able to use the road without having to pay a massive fee or fine. Yeah. So just double check it, would you, Howard? We have got Dave in Redditch right now, who has got a question for our sponsor, Ripe.
Hi Matt, this is Dave from Redditch. I currently own a motorhome and I'd like to tow a car. I'm currently with Ripe Insurance, and a fantastic insurance apart from the fact that they do not cover for towing. I was just wondering if this is likely to change as they're going to charge me a whole year's insurance just to cancel the policy. Thanks for all your help.
Well, thanks very much for that question, Dave. Redditch used to be on a radio station up that way, BBC Hereford and Worcester. I love Redditch. Okay, feedback from Ripe on that one. Hi, Dave. Thanks for your positive feedback. Apologies for any confusion here, as we can cover for towing, but it has to be a maximum gross weight of 1,500 kilograms, 1,500 kilograms, which has been built to be towed by a motorhome.
They went on to say, however, there are some instances where we wouldn't cover towing, such as a mechanically propelled vehicle, I guess that means a car, a horse box trailer or a caravan. As a valued customer, we hope this is the cover you're looking for and we can help you in this instance. We'd be more than happy to sort this out for you. Thanks, Mel from the Ripe team.
And remember that you can get 15% off your insurance premium with Ripe by clicking the link in the description for this episode. Next question, John Scott's in Glasgow. Hi Matt, I have a Bailey Adamo 74DL and have a problem with the water system. I fill it up with water and the gauge reads 100%. Then the pump runs fine, but then stops at 50%. Is there a way to recalibrate my system? Any help or advice would be appreciated. Many thanks.
We've had this question before, and it wasn't from John, it was from someone else. So whether this is a Bailey system issue or the hardware they're using, I don't know. It seems odd that two people, as far as I'm aware, have had the problem. My suggestion, John, would be contact your Bailey dealer, whoever that might be, and I'm sure they'll be able to sort this for you or get to the bottom of why it's happening. But do let me know how you get on. And if you're listening to this and you've had this issue on any motorhome, let me know, because it could be the common denominator is not Bailey, it could be the water system gauge manufacturer. Love to know.
Yeah, it could be any one of those components, couldn't it? Matt, if someone's after a motorhome or just needs theirs looking after, where would you send them?
Well, I've gone to RV Supercentre for years whenever I've needed roller team spare parts in particular, so I know firsthand how helpful they are. They're not just about parts though, they're the UK's one-stop shop for motorhomes, whether you're buying new, used or even an ex-hire, if you're after great value.
And they do servicing as well, don't they?
Yep, full service centres, parts, accessories, bodywork repairs that are insurance approved, and they're NCC accredited workshops too. What I like is it's a small and super friendly team, but with nationwide sites. They're in Toddington, Edinburgh and Belfast. So they've got that local feel, but with a huge reach.
Sounds like the full package.
Exactly. You can find out more at rvsupercentre.co.uk, and we'll stick the link in the episode description too.
So, Matt, how do people get in touch with us?
We would love it if you did. You can head to mhmp.info/askmatt, fill in the form and we'll read the question for you. Or we'd love it if you recorded your question. Just click the orange button, but please do remember to tell us where in the country or where in the world you are.
And if you're looking for trusted brands and services, then make sure you visit the Motorhome Matt approved directory. It's at mhmp.info/approved.
And remember to follow on your favourite podcast app, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click subscribe.